265 people boarded the Nuestra Señora de Atocha, but only 5 survived her final voyage. The Nuestra Señora de Atocha, commonly referred to as the Atocha, was a heavily armed, treasure-filled Spanish galleon whose wreck led to hundreds of years of exploration, encounters, and exchanges. The partial recovery and continued exploration for the Nuestra Señora de Atocha by Mel Fisher has increased our knowledge of 17th century Spanish culture and has facilitated a change in the relationship between some archaeologists and treasure hunters. On March 23, 1622, the Atocha left Spain as the flagship of the Tierra Firme fleet in order to exchange items with other countries. The fleet traveled to South America, Panama, the Caribbean, and Cuba in search of gold and silver to bolster the Spanish economy. On September 4, 1622, the fleet left Havana, Cuba to return to Spain, 6 weeks behind schedule in the height of hurricane season. The next day, they encountered an enormous hurricane that scattered and destroyed the fleet. The Atocha hit a reef and came to rest 55 feet below the surface of the water, and there she slept for another 363 years until she was discovered by Mel Fisher. As a young boy, Mel Fisher was fascinated with underwater exploration. When he was only 14, he made his first hard hat diving outfit to use in a mud-bottomed lagoon. When World War II broke out, Mel Fisher joined the Army. During this time, he learned about a breathing device we refer to now as a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, or scuba. After the war, he pursued his interest in diving by opening the first dive shop in the world, Mel's Aqua Shop in Redondo Beach, California. Mel Fisher and his wife Dio trained over 65,000 people how to scuba dive. As an underwater explorer and pioneer, Mel Fisher made underwater films for training, advertising, and entertainment. He even aired his own underwater adventures on weekly TV shows, including High Road to Danger.
Tonight, our cameraman Mel Fisher takes us 15 fathoms down in search of sunken treasure and sea monsters.
The Fishers were about to make one of the biggest decisions of their lives. Mel Fisher had a meeting with a treasure hunter named Kip Wagner, who was searching for the 1715 Spanish plate fleet and needed some help. Fisher agreed to devote 1 year to full-time treasure hunting. Mel Fisher and his family packed up their belongings, sold the Aqua Shop, and handpicked a crew of 7 people to move to Sebastian, Florida, in search of treasure. During their exploration, they encountered a lack of water clarity, so Mel Fisher invented the mailbox, a device that when lowered from the boat over the propellers sends a layer of clear water from the surface down to the bottom so the divers could see. It also digs a really big hole in the sand. But not everyone was excited about this invention.
Creates this very large blast which blows all the sand, all the light artifacts away. So it exposed gold and silver coins and things like that, which is what they're interested in.
Mel Fisher put the mailbox to the test on the 360th day of searching and found 1,033 gold coins. Once you've seen the ocean bottom paved with gold, you'll never forget it. Mel Fisher. Mel Fisher and his crew had treasure fever. They continued salvaging the 1715 fleet for another 10 years. After reading The Treasure Diver's Guide by John S. Potter, Mel Fisher had found a new shipwreck worthy of his exploration, the Atocha. In the late 1960s, Mel Fisher formed a company called Treasure Salvers Incorporated. They began their quest for the Atocha in the Florida Keys. Every day of searching began with Mel Fisher's motto, "Today's the day." After 4 years of searching in the Middle Keys, they had found no evidence of the Atocha. Mel Fisher then developed a partnership with Eugene Lyon, a student at the University of Florida, who was studying the records of early Spanish explorers, colonists, and their great fleets. Lyon's research led him to the Archive of the Indies in Seville, Spain, where he found documents dating back to the 1600s. He noticed that there was an error in the original translation of the map and told Mel Fisher that he was looking for the Atocha in the wrong place. Lyon suggested, and Fisher agreed, to move the search operation to Key West. This decision was the turning point in the search for the Atocha. Treasure hunting for Mel Fisher was always a family affair. In July of 1973, Mel Fisher's son, Cain Fisher, found a silver bar whose numbers matched the Atocha's cargo. On July 10, 1975, another one of Mel Fisher's sons, Dirk Fisher, found 9 bronze cannons from the Atocha. Despite these wonderful discoveries and the feeling that they were close to finding the Atocha, they encountered a tragedy. Before sunrise on July 20th, 1975, their salvage boat Northwind capsized, killing Mel Fisher's son, Dirk Fisher, his wife Angel Fisher, and one of the divers, Rick Gage.
Probably the biggest challenge that we encountered, of course, was the tragic loss of my brother and his wife.
Dirk, Angel, and Rick's death could have brought the exploration of the Atocha to an end.
He was very much involved in the exploration too, and he would have wanted us to go on.
On May 12, 1980, Mel Fisher and the treasure solvers discovered the Santa Margarita, the sister ship of the Atocha. They were getting closer to locating the Atocha. On July 20th, 1985, after over 15 years of exploration, Mel Fisher's crew finally awakened the Atocha. Kane Fisher called Mel Fisher's office over the radio and said, "Put away the charts. We've found the mother lode."
Hearing my father say, "Today's the day," every day for 15 years, it was finally the day. It really was the day.
The treasure was worth over $400 million. There were 115 gold bars, 78 gold chains, 32 tons of silver, thousands of silver coins, more than 3,000 emeralds, and countless artifacts. Despite all of his success, Mel Fisher encountered many legal battles in regards to the ownership of the Atocha.
I don't think we knew how long the battle would go on. It lasted for 7 years, went through 151 hearings in court, and we won every single hearing. My father said, if a little guy like me can fight the government and win, then we have a really good government in the United States.
They did win rights to the entire shipwreck, including its treasures and artifacts. Duncan Mathewson, Mel Fisher's chief archaeologist, assembled a team from across the country to ensure that artifacts and treasure were excavated and preserved properly. Archaeologists were excited. They thought of the Atocha as a time capsule. Finding the Atocha meant that they could reconstruct the ways that 17th century people built their galleons, as well as how they dressed, ate, and lived on a ship. Divers found an astrolabe, a device used for navigation, still in working order after all these years. They also found hundreds of tiny seeds that they later planted. Surprisingly, the seeds sprouted into what scientists call the beggar's tick, a weed that grows in the Caribbean. Each item they recover is entered into Mel Fisher's historic research database. Today, there are over 200,000 artifacts recorded in the database. This information is available to anyone who is interested in learning more about 17th century Spain. The Mel Fisher Maritime Heritage Society was established in 1982 as a permanent nonprofit organization for the display, housing, research, and study of the treasure. The Mel Fisher Museum is part of this society. Over 200,000 people visit the museum every year to see the treasure and 17th century artifacts. However, not all of the items are put on display. Some of the treasure has been sold, donated, or put up for auction. Mel Fisher also encountered many archaeologists who did not agree with how he was handling the Atocha shipwreck and its artifacts.
Collection should be kept intact because, if this is a colonization effort, exploration adventure, there's many things. And if you can look at the whole collection, that's what is the best for the public.
Taffy Fisher has a response for the archaeologists who want to keep the collection intact.
All of the archaeologists that we work with believe that as long as you create an educational database, list the artifacts, so that if anyone ever wanted to do study, they could go and look at the digital record.
Some archaeologists partner with treasure hunters, including Corey Malcolm, who works for the Mel Fisher Maritime Heritage Society. His work with the society has been priceless. There is an ongoing worldwide conversation about how to deal with underwater archaeological finds. Whether you agree with Mel Fisher's methods or not, the Nuestra Señora de Atocha has had a significant impact on history in regards to exploration, encounter, and exchange. The Mel Fisher Historic Shipwreck Research Database and the Mel Fisher Maritime Heritage Society's museum exchange information about artifacts from the Atocha shipwreck, giving us a better understanding of the 17th century Spanish culture. As a result of discovering the Atocha, treasure hunters encountered archaeologists willing to compromise when it comes to shipwreck discoveries. Because of Mel Fisher's fascination with underwater exploration, the Atocha was awakened, and so was our understanding of 17th century Spanish culture.